Okay, we're back. More Houdini stuff. Are you ready to see something new now?
What's up, guys? Okay, what are you going to show us today? What's the plan?
So we already saw some things like copying objects. We've been to the basics. Uh, we we know some stuff, and I saw that in the internet there was this really cool feature that you could cut a mesh, and basically what the artist will do is to destroy the mesh and to show the destroy mesh just by using splines instead of cutting in by manual like Max using like manual cuts like vertices. You can just use Houdini to cut them automatically, and we can do a lot of stuff here. So let's get started. We're going to see booleans today.
All right.
So I will create my geometry node. At this point you're really familiar with the procedure, so I will just get into my geometry node and I will create a box. Okay, I will make this box like maybe a little wider, something like if it were a wall. Maybe I can just make it thinner, something like this. Now there is a really cool feature that is from the labs plugin from the, it used to be called game dev tools, but since they are adding more features that is not exactly related to game dev but they can be used, is now called the labs. So if I click here, tap and click on labs, you need to import this. So there are a lot of tutorials online. I won't cover this now, but here you have a lot of utilities that are very useful for game dev. In specific, you
There's
have,
even Unreal.
yeah, you have Unreal, Niagara, uh, things like auto UVs. You have, I think in geometry you have a lot like axis align. This is what we are gonna use now. Um, a lot of things, a lot of things. I like to play with this a lot. Like just click on here, check what this can do. You will always be surprised with what you can find. Most of the time, if you think it's hard, uh, if it's like it's really hard to do in Houdini, it may be something they created before for you. So this one is great. Okay, so I will click on align and I will choose the labs align, axis align. And this is really useful, especially if you're working with modular pieces. If I connect this, you see I have like three options. So I want to align in X, Y, and Z. And in this case, the Y-axis, which is up and down, is my minimum. So it means I'm at 0. And the pivot point here is at 0 here. If I now my pivot point is here in the middle, but what if I want to put it like here? And I just need to change the pivot point in minimum or maximum, and it will align perfectly. Or what about C? Maybe I want my pivot point here. So this is very useful for modular pieces. Like normally artists will need to align the pivot manually. And to be honest, it's not such like a game breaking feature because it's very easy to do. But sometimes it does happen that the artist didn't put the pivot point on the correct place. And we want to avoid manual error as much as possible. So it's just so if the artist wants to put like the pivot point on this sky, then you import to Houdini, put your node, and everything is back to normal.
All right.
So it's kind of useful for smaller pieces. In in my case, I will just put the default settings. I can also make this one unit size. It means that it will always, the length will be always 1 meter, so it will shrink my object. So anyway, this is not the important thing. The important thing is that, so what I want to do is to cut the mesh like this one. Let me see if I can. So basically I want to cut this thing here, just like a destroyed wall. I'm not sure if you can see it.
Yeah, of course.
So um, I want to destroy it, and normally in Max or in Maya or in Blender, you may use a Boolean, you may need to cut, and it's very destructive workflow because once you cut the mesh, you better have a backup of it.
Mhm.
And if you cut it wrong, then you need to cut it again. And cutting meshes is not the most exciting thing to do. So what we're gonna do is to use a spline here, and we are gonna create like a destroyed wall. Okay.
Okay.
So what I will do is first I going to click here and type draw, and what I get is this draw curve. If I type curve, I have like different types of curve, but like different options. You can do a lot of with curves. I like to use not this one, the draw curve, which does exactly what you will expect to. So first I have my axis here. I know that I will cut the mesh and my spline will be projected in this plane. If I want to change it, I can change the projection type to Y and C or X and C. So make sure you have the correct projection for the mesh you want to cut. In this case, the projection is fine. So what I can do is just draw a curve here, like this. And it will be projected here. If you check the top view, like spacebar 2 to check the top, you can see that it's being projected, and you don't have like the curve is not going anywhere, which is what I want.
Right.
If I press bar and 3, I can check the curve here, and you can see it's projected into this axis. So what I want to do is to cut the mesh based on the spline. So I want the artist to like draw splines like this and keep drawing, and it will cut the mesh. By the way, if you want to remove some strokes, you can see I have 3 strokes here. I can just clear them, or I can put a plus or minus to remove the last one, or I can just click clear to clear all the strokes, and I can do it again.
What if you draw another stroke without hitting the plus button? Does it add automatically?
Yeah, just automatically I will draw here, and then you can see once I click here, then it adds another number. To be honest, I've never used a plus button at another
Yeah, what's
instance,
the difference? Yeah.
so never use that one. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you could, you know, put the plus button, and right now I'm just drawing the points manually. Maybe you could affect this raw data value to put some procedures here. But right now I'm just drawing, and know that I'm using the show handle in order to draw here. If I don't have this on, I cannot draw. I need to click
All right.
here. So great, this is what I want. So let me check the curve a little bit. So this is my curve, and it has a lot of points. If I check the points here, I can see my points. I can click here, I can see the number of points. You can see I have, let me check my geometry spreadsheet. Click here.
69?
Looks like it's 69. I will click here, new paint app type, and then inspector, geometry spreadsheet. If I click here, I can reorder the number of vertices. And yeah, it's 69, which is actually 70 because we start counting from 0.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see that I have a lot of attributes here. I don't need to worry about them right now. In fact, what I like to do is to delete them um, because I really don't need to modify them, and that's a lot of attributes to work on. So I want to keep my geometry spreadsheet as clean as possible, because when you make a very big graph, it starts to get messy. When you merge objects, you will mesh attributes, and it's not ideal. But let's just forget this for now. What I can do now is to make this a little bit cleaner. So you see I have my points here, I have more density here, uh, less density here. It's not even distribution, and this is not what I want because it's a little messy. Some of them are super close, some of them are really far away. So what I will do is to make a node, and this is the resample node, and you will see what it does when I connect. It will evenly distribute the points in much nicer way while keeping my curve.
It keeps the shape, right?
It keeps the shape, and you can increase this one. It will try to match the shape as much as possible. So if you want more points, you can reduce the number. If you want less points, you can increase. So this is actually very useful because if you don't want too much resolution in your cut, you can just change this value and you won't have many vertices to work on. I will keep it fairly low at first, just like that, maybe. So if I check my mesh, now I have my, let me click on this one so we can always see it. So I have my mesh here. What I want to do is to create a plane that travels across this spline so that I can intersect my mesh here, and I can cut it with a Boolean. So
All right.
the way we're gonna do that is to use the poly extrude. And we saw how this works with geometry, right? So let's see what happens when we connect this one. So nothing happened yet because I haven't extruded anything. But if I extrude, you can see that it's going along the normals of my primitive, which I have here. And this is not what I want. So how do we fix this? Is we need to create a normal for the points. Right now we don't have point normals, we have primitive normals. You see the green ones?
Yes.
Those are my primitive normals and are pointing this way, and it's extruding based on, you know, this primitive normal or edge normal. And what I want to do is to extrude in a different direction. So there are many ways to do that. I'll show you my favorite way because it's just too fast. Um, um, I know this is for artists, but this one has a little bit of code. We're gonna do it the other way. So I'm gonna create an attribute wrangle. So what does I'm not gonna put it here, I'm gonna put it after my resample. So I just change. What this attribute wrangle does is to allow you to code something here and run over the points, primitive, vertices, or numbers, I don't know what that is, and detail. So we see we have our points here. So for each point, it will create whatever we put here. If we put primitive, for each primitive we have here, which is 1, it will create whatever we put here. Points, it's what we want to change. Know that if I click wrangle, I have attribute wrangle, I have point wrangle, primitive wrangle, vertex wrangle. They are just the same. It's just that this parameter is changed. So I can create a primitive wrangle, but I can use points, and it will run on the points. So use whichever you want. I mostly use my attribute wrangle and just run over the points. So what I do here is I click n and add n, which what this does is create a variable with the name n. And it can have any name. Actually, I will delete. You know what? I will just keep them first. But this variable n can be anything. And what we're gonna do is to put a set 0.1.0 with comma. And you can already see what this does. So basically, is the normals on the points, which these are my points, normal primitive, set them to 0 on x, 1 on y, and 0 on z. If I change this to 0, 0, 1, they will run over the z axis.
Right.
So really, it's really not hard to code this. And the reason my normals change is because there is already a variable called normal. If I click here and I create a normal node, I can put this on points, and I can check my normals here. Here you go. You see the n? It's created the n attribute. If I bypass this, I don't see the n attribute. So n, and it needs to be capital N, because there is a difference between the lower and the n. It will Houdini won't know that it's the normal you're looking for. But N
Right.
stands for normal in Houdini. And in this case, it's not that I'm creating a new one, I'm just, if this was already created, the N is something that any object in Houdini can have. So
Hmm.
what it's just doing is creating a normal map. So what if you don't want to code? First, I wanna show you how to save this. Let's say this is too hard for you, okay? You can, what you can do, and this is what I do, because I'm not very good at coding. What I do is I look for solutions online, and then I save the code. And I have my files where I can check what each code can do. Well, what you can do here is go to the settings here, and you can save a preset,
Hmm.
and you can set like assign normals y axis, right? On points, I don't know. And you can save the preset. And now if I create an attribute, wrangle, you can see it's empty. But if I click here, I can see my preset created here. So I don't need to code again. I just do it once and then click here, and it will create a code for me.
Right.
So this is an artist-friendly way of remembering code. And I believe you don't. It helps if you know how to code, but you can do this in many ways. Sometimes it's faster to do in that code. Like you can see here, I can change my normals here, and it literally can take me seconds to do that if I already know the trick.
I
Even
was always
faster.
worried about that, Mauricio. For example, um, in Unreal, I was creating some complex material, and I will know how to do imagine X effect, right, on the material, and I will just research and find solutions online, and I will try to understand them. And if I didn't, I will just copy them, right, and try to learn like that. But I was always worried: what if times change and you hop to a new program? You will not be able to copy your code like that. So how do you deal with that? How do you eventually learn it, or you just keep it on your notepad and keep the notion and then try to re reapply it on the next program? How do you deal with that?
Hmm. So this is what I believe. I believe we all start by copying uh, any kind of discipline, and eventually, if you do this a lot, you will know how it works. Like for me, I'm not just copying anymore. I know what is going on behind the hood. Like I know that there is a normal attribute. I know this is a variable of 3 vectors, and I know how to set the value. Um, but I
Hmm.
think it's something that once you do it once, even if you copy it, it will become part of you, and eventually you will find more information about it. I remember when I was just learning materials in Unreal,
Hmm.
like many years ago, when UE4 was just released, like 2014, they had this amazing showcases. Like you remember the effects cave, the
Uh-huh.
elemental demo. It's still amazing. And I will just dig into the materials and just watch them, how they created them. At the beginning, I can only understand like 1% of what they did. And I just kept doing that for years. Um, and it got to a point where you can see a complex material like that and you're not afraid of it anymore, like you know everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't have known if I didn't copy first. uh, I think that it is okay, especially because you will learn it eventually.
Right.
And this is not the only
Well.
way we can do it.
Mm.
So I believe we can use an attribute BOP, and the same, it runs some points. Let me bypass this for a second, and let's put this one here. What I have here is essentially the same variables I have in my code. So I have my position, uh, velocity, force, color, UV, normal. So what I can do here, I'm not sure if there is a set vector component. Like I want to put my vector on 1 maybe, and this is my normal. Nope, doesn't work like that. So let me check how. Okay, so this is my normal, and I will put my vector to float, and I think it's right now it's like 0 0 0, so I can put a float to vector, and I think I can just create variables here. Let me check. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can just create variables here. Let me delete this and put a constant. uh, Let me create a constant, and it will be a vector, so my value will be 1 here, and I can just put this one into my normals, and it's the same.
I see. I see.
So same thing, different method. I can change the normals using this one, or I can use it by code. Depends which one you like more. Most Houdini users like code. I personally don't like it that much, but I agree that sometimes it's faster if you know how to code. But if you don't,
Mm-hmm.
you can just do it here, and I'm not an expert in this this mode yet. I haven't used it as much as I want, but you can do a lot of things here. And this one is like, once you understand it, like these are my attributes, you can just do whatever you want here. In fact, we can use this one, and this one we don't use it anymore. But both are okay. Both methods are fine. Okay, so
All
let's
right.
get back to
Yes.
here. So if I click my polystrut now, you see that it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is I'm extruding along my primitive, not my point normal. So I just need to change this mode, and now I have this.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is exactly aligned with the grid, right?
Hmm.
So I can just mirror this. I can create a mirror here, and I can mirror this on the right axis. Right now it's on the x-axis. I will put it on the z-axis. And now I will have my cut here. Okay.
Huh.
So I can do this many ways. Like I can even transform the node, and I can just scale this in the z-axis like this, then move it whichever I like. There we can see more methods little by little. Let's just keep it simple for now.
Yeah.
So let's just put the mirror here, and this is what I want. This is just a plane I can cut on my mesh, and if I go here and draw again, I can create different planes here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very useful. I will
Yeah.
just keep one for now. So let's go back here, and right now what we want to do is to cut the mesh. So let me clean this. Like if you want to reorder your nodes, just click L and it will automatically reorder them.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Sometimes it's useful,
That's
sometimes you
nice.
don't want it to reorder them for you, but in this case it's nice. So what we're gonna use is to use the Boolean. And if you click Boolean, you have different types of Boolean. This is like the attribute wrangle. It's the same, but they just change one parameter. Except the Boolean factor, this one is different. This one is for the destruction simulation. But these ones are for exactly the same. So I will just create a Boolean. And I will put the first goes my geometry I want to have here. And then it goes to the got here. I connect the two of them. Right now it's on subtract by default. I can put union. And it will the intersection of the two of them. I can click intersect, and I can already see something happening here. And you can see that my normals are a little bit off, so I will just create a normal node here. Let's just preview by using this one. So I have this one, I have my union, I have my intersect, I have my subtract, which is the contrary of it, and I have my shader. So you can use whatever you want, and depends on the situation. Sometimes you want to keep both meshes, and let's check if I click the exploded view. This is very useful for baking and this kind of stuff, and also for checking your mesh. What exploded view will do is to separate the meshes that are not connected, so you can have a better view of what the Boolean tool is doing. So I can just cut this. If I want to cut the mesh, I can just draw another one, draw another one.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So, and then here I can just, you know, merge them. If I want to just change the type of Boolean I want, I can just put intersect, union. I don't know why would you do that in this case. Subtract. So let me get rid of the other ones. Let me keep one for now, so it's not that confusing. So what I want to do is to put a little bit more detail here. I want to put my also you can treat the view as a surface. Sometimes like it's better to put as a surface here. Basically, it's a plane. It's not a closed object. So if you put a surface here, like you can have different results. Sometimes you want to cut planes, sometimes you want to cut surfaces, and if you have like open planes and you're cutting it, Houdini can crash, and because the Boolean operation won't work, or it will just give you the result you don't want. So you just make sure you set this group A or B, whichever you need.
Mm.
So what I want to do is to maybe increase the resolution. I had this resample node, so if I change this, I can change the resolution of it. That's pretty nice.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's super useful, especially if you want to make like a low poly or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to do is to add some subdivisions maybe to this. So what we can do here is after the mirror node, we can click on divide. We can put it here, but first I want to unclick here and I want to click on breaker, and I want to make the size a little bit bigger because one is sometimes very small and it will be hard to process. So if I connect
Mm-hmm.
this one here and I just divide, let me check if I see the results here. Looks like I can see them. That's weird.
Hmm.
Oh, bigger polygons. Maybe there can be another way. Remesh. Maybe we can remesh the surface. Something like this. I'm not sure if you can put like only um, only quads. I believe the labs had one of these. I used this one some time ago. Let me check. Okay, whatever. This one can work. So if I check my Boolean, now I have a different resolution,
Mm-hmm.
and I can change like the size of it, right? So what I want to do here is to put some noise here. So we already view the last time we touched Houdini without the noises. So I'm not gonna go into all the methods now, but for now I'm gonna use the mountain here. You can already see what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit extreme result. So I'm just gonna reduce the height of it. I want to have some noise, and I want the element size to be like slow. This looks nice. Looks very nice. So let's check how it looks like with the normal map. So this one looks better. And now you can go again and continue to cut your mesh like this. Okay.
I love how modular that is. That's great.
Yeah,
It looks
it's
so easy.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just watch for some artifacts. I guess you can change the Boolean type to check something like the triangulate. No polygons, no. One of these should work. Unique points along the seams. You can triangulate your mesh like you can put divide maybe here, and you can have your mesh like this. Have cleaner geometry. Not very pleasant to look at, but you don't have angons. We're not gonna touch this for now. Uh, little by little, we have time. We will keep refining this method for a while. Actually, I'm gonna save this project so we can see it later.
Mhm.
But what I want to do is to create UVs for this part, because this is not really useful if the artist now needs to click one of these, make planner, assign materials, whatever.
Mhm.
So what I will do is to click on my Boolean, and if I scroll down I can see some groups here. Okay, so I'm gonna debug this with a delete node. I'm gonna delete, and I'm gonna delete by group. So by default, nothing is selected, but I'm gonna expose these groups. Let's see which one of them give me the site I want. So you have like polygon from A, B inside A, B outside A, overlap. Let's try with B outside A and delete non-selected. Okay, not this one. Maybe B inside A. Okay. Looks like it's using both polygons. Uh, is using both actually. Let me. Yeah, I think it's okay. So we want this. Um, we want this group B inside A. So let's just remove this one. You are only outputting this group. So what I want to do is let me explode this view to better view my islands. Okay, whatever. Let's just fix it little by little. So what I want to do is to create UVs for this part, and this is very easy. Auto UVs. Click here, and I really have no idea how it looks. If I press spacebar 5, I can check my UVs, and if this
Mhm.
doesn't work like I want, I can put my unwrap. Merge small islands maybe. Let's just put this for now. We will refine little by little. So after my auto UVs, I can put my UV visualize. So I can check my UVs, and you can see like I have my UVs working here. Kind of.
Hmm.
You can also have like UV unwrap. We can bypass this to check different results. This one, how it looks. So it looks like we are outputting some groups that are not part of what we want. So let's check it later. At least that's the way I like to do things. Like I don't want it to make it perfect. Like if it's like broken, it's okay. I can fix it later. That's the magic of the nodes. So I want to use this,
Mhm.
and this was just to preview. So I will delete them. And what I will do is to put my UVs here. And if I check this one, now I have my UVs. And
Hmm.
oh, okay, I see now. I see now. So I want to put my unwrap mode. And I want to click on this group only. I want to bypass this. So I only have my these parts unwrapped.
Mhm.
Here, like if you see it, now I have these parts unwrapped, badly unwrapped, but we're gonna fix it later.
Hmm.
And Yeah, so I think this is a very useful tool, especially with the auto UVs. You can just keep drawing here.
It's a good start. There's just a lot to experiment in there. It's crazy.
Yep. And yeah, like I said, I will save this project. We will check it little by little because I want to show you how you can do more stuff here.
Hmm.
Like many people was wondering how to make the wall with the bricks. I think we can put some bricks. We can generate some bricks from substance. We can automatically generate the mesh from substance in Designer in Houdini.
Hmm.
We can apply those bricks to this wall. Um, there are many things we can do, and we already covered the basics. So let's just get started with some things that can can be more fun,
Hmm.
just like these ones. So this is more applicable for something you want to do. If you want to cut your mesh, like this is a good way. You can also change the Boolean, and you can put like, oh, I was putting subtract mode. It's supposed to be shattered, I think. Okay, so it's the same. So yeah, so that's that's basically it. First, and you can change this like whatever you want. If you want to click change like the type,
Hmm.
and you don't have to preview it like this if you don't want. We can just uh, click here, and then we can change the type to intersect. No, not intersect. Subtract. Huh, interesting. What of this? Okay, intersect is what you want. So you can just, if you don't want to separate them, you can just use them like this,
Hmm.
and you can do many things. Like you can change the size of this one, and you can see it's being broken because my spline is not going up. We will fix it later. Don't want to keep the video that long, but this is how you build things. Slowly, you build something, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to keep going, and then maybe you work on it later. Okay, I will fix this part, then I will fix the UV part, then I will add more things and more things. Little by little. Yeah,
Hmm.
so
Yeah,
it works.
it's the beauty of modularity, right? It's not like ZBrush. Here you can just go back to the start and just change it. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's quite amazing. I really like this feature, like especially about Houdini. You can just put whatever you want. You want to put a sphere here, just put your mesh here, and there you go. Just change the center. Uh, oh, you can have very interesting results here. And once you have it, you can just save it. You don't need to recreate it. It works once, it will work forever. And you can expose this into an HDA digital asset we can view later. And then you can use this in Max. You don't necessarily need to use Houdini, you can use this in Max. So
Mhm.
yeah, the idea is to create just tools that you don't want to do any manual work. So yeah, that's it.
All right,
Uh,
that was pretty cool.
I know it took a while to explain, but it's because I was explaining some concept here. This can literally take like 2 minutes, 3 minutes to create. It's
Hmm.
very, very, very easy. Once you know what to do, uh, you spot an error and you know how to fix it. Like you want to fix the normals, you know how to fix the normals. Uh, you know, like this node mirror, you know how to remesh the planes. You can change
Hmm.
anything. So this is very fast, super fast, and I will save the project and let's keep continue working on it next.
Hmm.
Okay, that's it for me. Any questions before?
Nothing. You said it pretty clear. I understood everything. Even well, the code was pretty simple, but I usually never understand code. But that was cool. I'm looking forward to see what you can do next. That was very fun.
Okay, then until next time.
Yes. See you.